Hello and welcome to Amazing Aircraft. The Mirage F1 was a French fighter and attack aircraft designed and manufactured by Dassault Aviation. It was developed as a successor to the popular Mirage III family, but with a different wing configuration and more advanced avionics. It entered service in 1973 and was exported to around a dozen nations, where it saw action in various conflicts such as the Iran-Iraq War, the Gulf War, the South African Border War, the Libyan Civil War, and the Northern Mali conflict. In this video, we'll take a look at the history, specifications, performance, and achievements of the Mirage F1 and find out why it was such a remarkable aircraft. Are you ready to dive into its story? Then buckle up and let's go! The Mirage F1 emerged from a series of design studies performed by Dassault Aviation in the 1960s. Dassault wanted to create a new fighter that would be faster, more agile, and more economical than the Mirage III. Dassault also wanted to diversify its product line and offer a more conventional alternative to the delta-winged Mirage III, which had limitations in range, payload, and maneuverability. Initially, Dassault worked on two projects, the Mirage F2, a larger aircraft with a variable geometry wing, and the Mirage F3, a smaller aircraft with a fixed wing. Both projects faced technical and financial difficulties and were eventually canceled. Dassault then focused on a third project, the Mirage F1. It was based on the Mirage F2, but had a swept wing mounted high on the fuselage and a conventional tail surface. It used the same engine as the Mirage III, the Mach ATAR 9K50 turbojet, which provided about 69 kilonewtons of thrust. The Mirage F1 had a simpler and cheaper design than the Mirage F2 and was more suitable for the French Air Force's need for an all-weather interceptor. It also performed better than the Mirage III with more fuel capacity, a shorter takeoff run, and greater maneuverability. The prototype first flew on December 23, 1966, reaching a top speed of Mach 2. The second prototype was lost in an accident in May 1967, but the program continued with 3 more prototypes and a static test airframe. The Mirage F1 was a sleek and elegant aircraft with a distinctive silhouette and a graceful wing shape. It had a length of 15.33 meters, a wingspan of 8.44 meters, and a height of 4.5 meters. It had a maximum takeoff weight of 16,200 kilograms and a maximum speed of 2,338 kilometers per hour at high altitude. It had a combat range of 425 kilometers on a high-low-high mission and a ferry range of 3,335 kilometers with drop tanks. It had a service ceiling of 20,000 meters and a rate of climb of 215 meters per second. The Mirage F1 was developed into several variants tailored to different roles and customer needs. The first production version, the Mirage F1C, was a single-seat all-weather interceptor for the French Air Force. Equipped with a Thomson CSF Cyrano 4 monopulse radar and armed with 2 internal 30mm cannons, it could carry various air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons, including the Matra R530, R550 Magic, AIM-9 Sidewinder, Exocet, and Beluga. The French Air Force ordered 85 Mirage F1Cs, which entered service in 1973, and a total of 246 were built, including exports to countries like Spain, Greece, Morocco, Iraq, Libya, Jordan, and Kuwait. Following the F1C, the Mirage F1B was developed as a 2-seat operational conversion trainer, featuring an extra seat and controls but less internal fuel capacity and no internal cannons. The French Air Force ordered 20 Mirage F1Bs, delivered between 1980 and 1983, with 36 built in total, including exports. The Mirage F1E, a single-seat, all-weather, multi-role fighter and ground attack aircraft, featured a more powerful ATAR 9K5001 engine and a new Cyrano IVMR radar. 75 were built and exported to countries such as Ecuador, Spain, Morocco, Jordan, and Iraq. The Mirage F1CR, a tactical reconnaissance version for the French Air Force, replaced the Mirage IIIR and was equipped with advanced reconnaissance systems. 64 were delivered between 1983 and 1988. The Mirage F1 CT, an upgraded F1C 200 for close air support, featured new avionics and the ability to carry a wide range of munitions. 55 F1Cs were converted into F1 CTs, entering service in 1991. Lastly, the Mirage F1M was an upgrade program for the Spanish Air Force, enhancing avionics and adding anti-shipping capabilities. The Spanish Air Force upgraded 48 F1CE single-seaters and 4 F1 EDA trainers to the F1M standard, which entered service in 1996. The Mirage F1 was operated by around a dozen nations and saw action in various conflicts such as the Iran-Iraq War, the Gulf War, the South African Border War, the Libyan Civil War, and the Northern Mali conflict. It was used for air defense, air superiority, ground attack, surveillance, and anti-shipping missions. It proved its effectiveness and survivability in various scenarios. In 1978, Moroccan Mirage F1s were deployed to Western Sahara to fight against the Polisario Front, a rebel movement seeking independence from Morocco. The Mirage F1s performed ground attack and interdiction missions using bombs, rockets, and cannons to strike Polisario targets. However, they faced heavy losses from Polisario air defenses, which included SA-3, SA-6, SA-7, and SA-9 missiles. The Moroccans improved their tactics and equipment, using toss bombing, hunter-killer teams, chaff and flare dispensers, and ECM pods to avoid and suppress enemy fire. They also used bombs with airburst fuses to increase their effectiveness. The Mirage F1s were instrumental in the success of the Moroccan campaigns in the early 1980s, but they lost 12 aircraft and 9 pilots during the war. In 1981, Iraqi Mirage F1s were engaged in the Iran-Iraq War, which lasted until 1988. The Mirage F1s were used for interception, ground attack, and anti-shipping missions, and faced Iranian F4s, F5s, and F14s in the air. The Mirage F1s claimed several aerial victories, including the first Iranian F-14 shot down by a Mirage F1 pilot, Major Mohammad Rayan, who became Iraq's top ace with 10 kills. The Mirage F1s also used Exocet missiles to attack Iranian oil platforms and tankers, causing significant damage to Iran's economy. However, the Mirage F1s suffered heavy losses from Iranian air defenses and fighters, and many were flown to Iran by defecting pilots. By the end of the war, Iraq had lost 33 Mirage F1s in combat and 24 to defections, out of a total of 108 purchased from France. In 1987, South African Mirage F1s were involved in the border war against Angola and its allies. The Mirage F1s performed escort, strike, and reconnaissance missions, supporting the South African ground forces and attacking Angolan and Cuban targets. The Mirage F1s also engaged in several dogfights with Angolan and Cuban MiG-21s and MiG-23s, shooting down 2 MiG-21s and 1 MiG-23 with cannon fire. They also used V-3B missiles, which were South African copies of the Israeli Shafir 2, to attack enemy aircraft, but without success. The Mirage F1s were vulnerable to enemy surface-to-air missiles, especially the SA-6, which shot down 2 Mirage F1s and damaged 2 more. The Mirage F1s were retired from service in 1997 after flying more than 683 combat sorties and 160,000 flight hours. In 1991, French Mirage F1s participated in the Gulf War against Iraq as part of Operation Daguet. The Mirage F1s performed reconnaissance and ground attack missions using laser-guided bombs, cluster bombs, rocket pods, and anti-runway munitions. They also escorted French Jaguar fighter bombers, using their more capable navigation systems to lead the formations. The Mirage F1s flew 114 sorties during the war and did not lose any aircraft to enemy fire. However, they did not engage in any air-to-air combat, as they were grounded during the first few days of the Allied air attacks and later avoided by the Iraqi fighters. The Mirage F1s also participated in Operation Provide Comfort to protect the Kurds from Iraqi aggression after the end of the war. In 2011, Libyan Mirage F1s were involved in the Libyan civil war, which resulted in the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi. Some Mirage F1s were loyal to Gaddafi and attacked the anti-Gaddafi rebels and civilians with bombs and rockets. However, some Mirage F1 pilots defected to the rebels and flew their aircraft to Malta, where they claimed political asylum. The Mirage F1s also faced the NATO-led intervention, which enforced a no-fly zone over Libya and supported the rebels. The Mirage F1s were outmatched by the NATO aircraft, and several were shot down or destroyed on the ground. After the end of the war, France and Libya agreed to modernize the remaining Mirage F1s, as well as to purchase additional Mirage F1s from France. The Mirage F1 was one of the most successful fighter jets of the Cold War era and a proud member of the Mirage family. It served for over 40 years until it was retired by most of its operators in the 21st century. However, some Mirage F1s are still flying today as private contractors or museum exhibits, keeping the legacy of this amazing aircraft alive. That's all for today's episode of Amazing Aircraft. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, remember to leave a comment below and tell us what you think about the Mirage F1 or what other aircraft you would like us to cover in the future. The sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning. Thank you for watching. See you next time.